Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a slightly different approach.
Yeah.
Instead of our usual policy briefs or, historical texts, we're looking at something creative.
Okay.
It's the lyrics from Alison McLean's song, We Are Molding Our Own Way. Really striking stuff.
Oh, fantastic choice. Yeah, these lyrics are great because they really lay out a whole philosophy, don't they?
They do.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to really dive deep into the themes here. We want to unpack the specific ideas about creation, agency, and importantly, the cost involved, all just from this one piece.
And what grabs you immediately, I think, is this core tension, maybe even a paradox.
Right.
The title shouts agency, molding our own way. That sounds like effort control.
Forceful, yeah.
But then you hit the opening lines, the actual how, and it's all based on, well, surrender. Passivity, almost.
It is. That's the immediate hook, isn't it? This fascinating tension. We could call it, maybe the creator's paradox, receptive action.
Receptive action, I like that.
Yeah, because the power to mold your way, it's explicitly tied right there in the text to needing to surrender. McLean just doesn't let you have the ambition without the acceptance. They're fused together.
Okay, let's dig into that tension straight away, because, for a lot of people, surrender is the opposite of agency. How can you mold your own way if you're letting go? How does McLean square that circle? The chorus seems key. When we surrender, we are the way. It's all here. As night turns into day, we're molding our own way.
Right, and the phrasing, I think, gives us the answer. It's about synthesis. Often in Western thought, agency is about pushing, dominating, forcing a path.
Resistance, yeah.
Exactly. But McLean seems to suggest that molding doesn't happen in spite of reality, but through aligning with it. Surrender, in this context, it isn't giving up. It's not defeat.
Okay.
It's more like the necessary condition to even recognize the path, to step onto the way. It suggests the true path kind of reveals itself once you drop that internal fight.
So the active bit, the molding, isn't the struggle itself. It's what naturally follows once you're aligned. Once you surrender, you become the way. So then, of course, you're able to shape it.
That's the crucial link, I think. And then there's that line, it's all here, that adds so much depth.
Yeah, what is the all?
Well, if we connect it up, McLean seems to be proposing a philosophy of, let's call it creative abundance.
Okay.
The resources, the potential, the raw materials for creation, they already exist. They're all here before you start molding. So the struggle isn't against scarcity. It's more against our own internal blocks that stop us from seeing or accessing what's already present.
That completely shifts the perspective for you, the listener, doesn't it? If everything you need is already here, then creating isn't about finding something new out there.
Right.
It's more about recognizing what's in here or right here. That's quite a profound reassurance built into the song.
It really is, and don't miss the time element. As night turns into day.
The cycle.
Yeah, it's not a one-off flash of inspiration. It connects our human creating to the biggest, most reliable natural cycle there is. It suggests the way is revealed continuously, naturally, inevitably, really. As long as you maintain that state of surrender, it builds in this idea of continuity.
Okay, so we have this inherent potential. It's all here, accessed through surrender. It sounds almost easy. But McLean quickly makes it clear that turning that internal recognition into something real, something external, it demands a very specific and maybe difficult price.
Yes.
If we shift from the philosophy in the chorus to the more transactional language in the first verse, we hit the cost.
Exactly. The focus shifts immediately from the internal state to, like you said, external action. The line is, our creative spirit we exhibit.
Exhibit. Public display.
That's key. It's not enough to just have the spirit or mold your way in private. The philosophy here demands it be shown, put out there.
Which means interaction, exposure, risk.
Absolutely risk. And if you're putting your deepest self, your creative spirit, on display, the lyrics are very clear about the price tag.
Here comes.
This is where the writing gets really sharp, I think. And vulnerability is our fee. It's set up like a mandatory transaction.
A fee, like paying admission.
Precisely. To exhibit that spirit, you have to pay up, and the only currency accepted is your own vulnerability, your willingness to be seen, exposed.
Okay, I follow the connection, but let's push on that a bit.
Yeah.
If the resource is abundant, it's all here, and accessing it is relatively simple surrender, why is the fee so high? Why vulnerability? Why is that the mandatory price?
That's a great question. I think it's because vulnerability is the ultimate proof that the surrender was genuine.
Oh, okay.
If you truly surrender to the way, you let the real creation come through unedited, maybe imperfect, maybe raw,
Right.
then to exhibit that, to show it publicly, means you give up control over how it lands, how people react. You open yourself to being judged, maybe misunderstood, maybe even rejected.
So the fee kind of protects the authenticity.
I think so, yeah. The fee of vulnerability ensures the work isn't just some guarded, calculated performance. It guarantees it's coming from that surrendered place. It acts as the necessary bridge, you see, between recognizing the internal path and actually bravely walking it out in the open.
So the fee upholds the integrity of the whole process. It makes creation inherently risky, a high-stakes game, even though the initial spark came from this place of peace and surrender. That's a pretty honest take on the creative life, isn't it? So the cost is established vulnerability. Then the second verse seems to really pin down the identity of the person taking on this vulnerable work. We get the title, "We Are the Artist on an Exhibition." It hammers home that public aspect again. And then it sets the scene for where the materials actually come from.
Yeah, it defines the artist not just as someone who makes things, but as someone who presents things publicly, like a servant to the idea almost.
Servant to the idea.
Interesting. And the environment, the world they're in, is described specifically. It's a world where ideas arrive.
Arrive. That verb choice feels really deliberate.
Doesn't it?
It implies they come from outside.
Yeah.
It doesn't say a world where we forge ideas or wrestle ideas into existence. They just show up, like visitors.
That points towards, I think, a third pillar of this philosophy, humility.
Okay.
If ideas arrive, it suggests they're external gifts, maybe forces of nature, maybe transmissions from somewhere else. The artist's main job isn't being the sole originator, which often leads to ego, possessiveness, right?
Right, protecting my idea.
Instead, the artist is framed as the receptor, the one who notices the arrival,
Yep.
then the synthesizer and the exhibitor, the one who actively shapes the materials they've received.
Which loops us right back to that blend of activity and passivity again.
Exactly.
The artist needs to be passive enough, surrendered enough to receive these arriving ideas, but then active enough to pay that vulnerability fee and do the hard work of molding. The creation itself becomes this kind of sophisticated response to what was received.
Precisely. It totally reframes what control means in this context. The control isn't over the source of the inspiration. You can't command ideas to arrive.
No.
The control is over the response, the fidelity of the expression, the courage to exhibit it, the skill in the molding, and crucially, the willingness to pay that fee. You control the process and your own nerve, but not the spark itself.
We've spent time unpacking the words, the meaning. But what really makes this resonate, I think, is how the structure of the song reinforces the whole message. The sound is the philosophy, in a way.
Oh, absolutely. And repetition is the most obvious tool here. That chorus, the core message about surrender and being the way, it comes back again and again.
Relentlessly.
And the mantra, we're molding our own way too. It's not just filler, is it? It feels like an affirmation, almost meditative practice woven into the song. It drills that core idea of receptive action deep into you.
But the structure sets a tone even before the lyrics start, right? The intro is just those three sounds, like a hum.
Yes. That's such an important starting point. It's pre-verbal, grounding. It sets this mood of deep internal focus, maybe meditation, suggesting the philosophy we're about to hear isn't just a clever argument, but something rising from a more fundamental, maybe even primal place. It primes your mind for that idea of surrender.
And then throughout the song, you have these instrumental breaks, moments to breathe.
Right, those pauses, the instrumental sections, they give you space, don't they? Space to absorb the weight of that vulnerability fee or the implications of it's all here. They let the ideas settle.
And then there's the really strategic use of the melodic key change.
Yeah.
Happens twice.
Yes. Once leading into a chorus and then again later before a repeated chorus.
Yeah.
That's not accidental. That's structure doing heavy lifting.
How do you read that? What's the effect?
Well, key changes in music often signal a shift, right? An emotional lift. A moment of heightened clarity or intensity.
A turning point.
Exactly. And here, the shift happens right before the big declaration of faith. When we surrender, we are the way.
So it musically underlines the breakthrough.
I think so. It suggests that truly grasping surrender, getting that clarity, involves an elevation, a shift in your whole perspective. The music itself signals that moment of realization. It's like McLean is guiding you, saying, pay attention, this part feels different because it is different. It's the moment the truth really lands.
And then the outro just drives it all home. It circles back to those essential lines: surrender, abundance, it's all here. The natural cycle, night turns into day, followed by hammering that final mantra 3 times. We're molding our own way before it fades.
That structure feels like the ultimate summing up, the final resolve. After exploring the depths, the costs, the shifts in perspective, the song lands firmly back on the action, repeated for maximum impact. The whole journey confirms the core mandate. Yes, we are molding our own way, but only by following these specific rules of surrender and vulnerability.
So this deep dive into Alison McLean's lyrics, it really shows us a complete and, I think, quite powerful philosophy of how creation works.
It really does. It's this necessary blend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Active shaping the molding, but inseparable from receptive acceptance, the surrender, and acknowledging that ideas arise.
And holding it all together is that constant required transaction. Vulnerability is our fee.
Yeah, it demands both huge humility to receive whatever comes, and then immense courage to pay that price and put the result out into the world.
We established early on that it's all here, suggesting this vast inherent potential that's accessible if we just surrender. So maybe the provocative thought to leave you with is this. If that potential is already here, readily available through surrender, what does the song ultimately suggest the way is?
That's a great question to ponder. Is the way the actual path you end up creating and walking? Or is the way really the state of being you achieve, the person you become, through that whole demanding process of surrendering, paying the vulnerability fee, and then doing the molding? Is the way the path or the walker transformed by the path?
Something for you to keep molding over.
Indeed. Until our next deep dive.